The American Civil War generated weapons innovation at a pace and intensity that peacetime manufacturing never produces. 4 years of industrial-scale combat creates a very specific engineering pressure. How to give a single soldier more firepower, more reliability, more capacity, without adding weight or mechanical complexity that makes the weapon less practical in the field. Both sides of the conflict responded to that pressure and produced remarkable solutions. Repeating rifles, new cartridge designs, improved artillery fusing, the first practical ironclad warships. But in the entire 4 years of that war, across every manufacturer on both sides, only one firearm was built around a concept that the entire subsequent history of weapons design has never revisited. Confederate officers carried a revolver that combined, within a single weapon and a single draw from the holster, a 9-shot percussion revolver and a single-shot smoothbore shotgun, simultaneously. One sidearm, 2 completely independent weapon systems sharing one grip and one trigger. That was the LeMat revolver, and the one in front of us spent over a century lying under rust on the floor of a Louisiana plantation cellar. Jean-Alexandre LeMat was a French physician living in New Orleans when he developed this design and filed a United States patent in 1856. He was not a professional gunsmith. He was not a military man. He was a doctor who identified a mechanical solution to a specific problem and worked out how to build it. The design is genuinely elegant once you understand it. Every conventional revolver has a central axis pin around which the cylinder rotates. That pin is solid metal, a mechanical axis, and nothing more. LeMat made that pin into a barrel, a 20-gauge smoothbore barrel running precisely through the center of a 9-chamber cylinder with its own percussion nipple at the rear face and its own muzzle projecting at the front. The cylinder carries 9 Moss 142 caliber percussion chambers arranged in the standard circular pattern around this central barrel. The hammer nose is not fixed. It pivots between 2 positions on a simple pivot point at the front face of the hammer. Upper position, the nose strikes the nipples of the 9 cylinder chambers in sequence, exactly as in any conventional revolver. Lower position, the nose fires the central shotgun barrel loaded with buckshot. The selector takes 1 second and 1 thumb movement, 9 individual aimed shots at precision targets, then 1 devastating close-range buckshot discharge from the same weapon without any reload, without any change of equipment. In 1861, there was nothing else like it. The men who chose to carry the LeMat were not ordinary Confederate soldiers. General J.E.B. Stuart, the most celebrated cavalry commander in the Confederate Army and one of the most operationally effective cavalry commanders of the entire war, carried a LeMat as his personal sidearm. General P.G.T. Beauregard, who commanded at Fort Sumter when the first shots of the war were fired, who commanded at First Bull Run, who was one of the most senior and most prominent generals in the Confederacy, carried a LeMat. Beauregard's relationship with the LeMat went beyond personal preference. He became a co-patent holder, lending his name, his military reputation, and his institutional connections to the promotion and procurement of the weapon. That endorsement was meaningful. When a general of Beauregard's seniority puts his name on a patent, he is making a practical statement about what works in combat. The weapon was manufactured in Paris and in Birmingham, England, because the Confederate manufacturing base lacked the capacity to produce a precision firearm of this mechanical complexity in the quantities required. Completed revolvers were shipped to Nassau in the Bahamas and to Havana in Cuba, and from there were run through the Union naval blockade on fast, shallow draft vessels that could operate in coastal waters where Union ships could not easily follow. Total production across all manufacturers and all variants reached approximately 3,000 units. In the context of a war that consumed millions of weapons, 3,000 is a vanishingly small number. Every single surviving LeMat is a rare object. Our example was found in the cellar of a Louisiana plantation house during structural renovation work on the building. It was lying on the original brick floor of the cellar, and the rust incrustation over it was so thick, so uniform, and so complete that identifying it as a firearm at all required looking carefully at the overall form in low-angle light rather than at any surface detail. The mechanism was completely seized. Not stiff, not difficult, but absolutely immobile, held solid by corrosion throughout every moving component. The wooden grip panels had fully decomposed over the years in the damp cellar environment, leaving only the bare steel grip frame. But the characteristic double-barrel assembly, the defining visual feature of the LeMat, the long central shotgun barrel projecting below and ahead of the conventional revolver barrel, was intact beneath the corrosion, both barrels present, both nipples present at the rear. The critical assessment was rust condition. The question that determines whether a recovery is possible or pointless is whether the metal beneath the corrosion is structurally sound or whether the rust has consumed the cross-section entirely. That question is answered by probing, pressing a sharp point through the rust in multiple locations to find what lies beneath. Live solid metal underneath means recovery is viable. On the LeMat, probing throughout the barrel, frame, and cylinder confirmed solid metal everywhere tested. The corrosion was surface rust, heavy, well-established, laminated in layers, but surface. The metal had survived. Electrolytic rust removal was selected as the correct method. Electrical current passed through a solution converts iron oxide to metallite iron without any mechanical contact with the surface, without abrading the metal, and without any risk of damaging inscriptions or markings that may be present beneath the corrosion. Multiple treatment cycles, monitoring carefully throughout, brought the weapon back from under its rust incrustation. What emerged from that process was a documented, authenticated Civil War LeMat. French proof marks on the barrel frame from the Paris manufacturer, consistent with documented French LeMat production records for the Civil War period. Confederate military acceptance stamps in the correct form and location. The 9-cylinder chambers, clean throughout their length, all 9. The central smoothbore shotgun barrel, clean throughout its length. The cylinder rotated and indexed correctly through all 9 positions with a clean mechanical lock at each one. And the hammer, the pivot point of the entire LeMat concept, the mechanism that makes one weapon into 2, freed completely with cleaning and lubrication. The nose pivots between upper and lower positions with a clean, deliberate, distinctive click. Moving it from cylinder to shotgun to cylinder to shotgun, that click is the defining sound of the LeMat. That click is what Confederate officers felt when they set their weapon for the engagement ahead. It is present and it is correct, and it has not changed. Traditional hot bluing and oil finish were applied to stabilize and protect the metal. Walnut grip panels were fitted to the original grip frame using documented period dimensions. The LeMat revolver is fully functional on both systems. The cylinder revolves and locks. The hammer pivots between barrels. 3,000 of these were made across the entire war. Most have not survived a century and a half in any usable condition. This one has. Both systems work. The click is there.